Can't you come on over here? Naomi abandoned the Catholic Church on her wedding day. She fled the moment her new husband came inside of her swollen vagina and fell asleep on top of her. Though she didn't turn her eyes to heaven and curse the Pope, she turned her eyes to the dusty ceiling fan in the motel room. The whiny appliance threatened to fall on the newlyweds at any second. Naomi decided she would have welcomed the incident. At least then, she would never have to have painful, awkward sex with her husband again. Naomi flicked off the lamp on the warped particle board nightstand and thought about brunch with her family the next morning. She didn't imagine she would be hungry, even though they were going to her favorite restaurant, another contemporary Southern fusion joint with eclectic decor and a lively ambiance. As the City Culture magazine once described it, Naomi would stare at her shrimp and grits as her stomach did a backflip. She pictured the dress she chose for the occasion, a burgundy chiffon number, somehow getting stained, even though it was dark, and she didn't plan on touching food or drink of any kind. She would feel too sore and defeated. She was already more battered than a Thanksgiving turkey that was donated to a homeless shelter by a supermarket the day after Black Friday. During premarital counseling, Naomi's pastor told her and her then fiancé that one does not lose their virginity, they give it. Sex is a gift, an act of love. Its purpose is to create children and express love in order to strengthen the marital bond. What the pastor did not mention as he shifted in his chair was pleasure. After reading so many sex articles with guilty fascination, Naomi wanted the thrill promised to her in Cosmopolitan and Glamour. She wanted to curl her toes and wipe sweat from her brow. She wanted endlessness and perfection. But that desire also gave her a bad taste in her mouth. She shuddered. It's only the first day, aged a century, Naomi told herself as she got up to spit and drink a glass of water. The water ran as she inspected her reflection in the mirror. Apart from the fake eyelashes she had put on for her wedding, she looked the same as yesterday, still with those big green eyes and the mauve scar left over from her infant cleft lip operation. When Naomi was dating, she used to imagine herself without the scar and wonder how many more men would have noticed her if she hadn't been born with a gaping hole in the middle of her face. The girl with the cleft lip doesn't get catcalled. Why do you need their stupid validation? Her older sister, Kim, used to ask before she got tired of asking. I don't need their validation, Naomi used to say, but I do want to fall in love. From there, the conversation would take different turns, depending on Kim's most recent fling and Naomi's most recent heartache. Trust me when I say the wolf-whistling construction worker is not looking for love, or You'll fall in love because you're worthy of love. Or simply, men are gross. Then, Naomi met Adam on a mission trip to Haiti. His first words to her came after Bible study one night, when he sat by her at the bonfire and said, "I like your mind, Miss Malstaff." He asked her questions and let her do most of the talking, under a cloud of mosquitoes and the glow of the full moon. Naomi's usual mumbling gradually gave way to unbridled speech. At that time, Adam was 41 and unmarried, born and raised in a small mountain town outside of Roanoke. His neighbors took him for a mutant. He could only ever be found in two places: his father's tractor supply company, where he worked, and St. Benedicta, his parish since his baptism mere weeks into his first days on earth. If he was searching for a wife, he gave no indication of it, but he came back from that mission trip with a fiancée. Naomi gently peeled off the fake lashes and tossed them in the garbage. Then she closed her eyes and pressed her eyelids with her fingertips. She fluttered her eyelids open and crept her fingers down her face and to her scar, covering her mouth like a mime. From her nose up was the face of a 30-year-old woman, not wizened, but not as dewy soft as it had been a decade before. She wondered how many people would look at this face and still call her young. She closed her eyes again. Naomi opened her eyes and locked them with her mirror twin as she dropped her hand down between her legs. She inhaled sharply when her fingertips met a tender spot. Will my thighs tighten and my vagina spasm every time I have sex? Will I ever enjoy having sex with Adam? She looked down at the lips between her legs, which bore a scar all their own, and flicked off the light before wandering back to bed. When Naomi was 9, she was raiding her mother's jewelry box, and a copy of Red Book on the dresser caught her eye. She popped a chunk of hair in the corner of her mouth, never by her scar, never, and began chewing it as she flipped through the pages. There were advertisements for tampons, diet pills, and romance novels. Every design had a touch of pink or purple in it. Something shiny or soft often appeared in the ads too. That's why the condom ad stood out to her. The colors were much darker. The text was a blockier font, with the layout of all hard edges. Naomi squinted her eyes and sounded out the word CONDOM. None of the fine print meant anything to her. It was that foreign word that she needed deciphered. "Mom?" Her mother was in the bathroom outlining her rosebud lips with magenta. "Yeah?" "What's a condom?" Naomi's mother threw her lip pencil in the sink so hard it snapped, but didn't notice because she was already bounding toward her daughter. She ripped the magazine out of Naomi's hands. "Condoms are for sluts," she sputtered, and then turned to toss the magazine onto her bed. "What's a slut? I mean, I know it's bad, but a slut is simply the kind of woman you never want to be." "Why?" Naomi asked, backing up from her mother, who seemed to have doubled in size in the last minute. Her lips were lined, but were otherwise still nude, matching the rest of her face. "Because she doesn't take sex seriously," her mother said in a slow, low voice. Naomi blushed. She vaguely recalled a conversation about sex she and her mother had after they watched a nature documentary about lions. Mostly, she remembered how the female lion squirmed while the male lion tackled her. Her mother explained the scene by saying, "She puts up with it to make babies. That's what sex is for, making babies. A man and a woman come together to make babies." Naomi liked babies, but in that moment, she didn't like the snarl overcoming her mother's face, causing her to suspect the sex talk had nothing to do with babies. Sex is a very serious matter, continued her mother with her frightfully lined lips. You can't just do it with anyone. You should only do it with one person, your husband, and you should wait until you're married. But the character's in Naomi. I don't care what you watched or what you read that had premarital sex in it. It's not okay. It's never okay. Okay? Nobody should have sex with anyone but their husband or wife. Okay? At this point, Naomi's mother had bent down to grab her daughter by the shoulders. She squeezed her with her long acrylic nails. Naomi was too scared to look her mother in the eye, so she looked down at her bright red stilettos. Okay, said Naomi after a long pause. She tried to focus on the scuff of her mother's right shoe so she could continue avoiding her mother's intense gaze. No, said Naomi's mother before fluttering her eyes and swallowing. I want you to promise me that you will not have sex until you're married. I promise. Good, because there are men who will try to use you, Naomi, and you must not let them. Do you understand? Yes, ma'am. End of discussion. Yes, ma'am. Naomi's mother kissed her square on the lips, smudging her lip liner on Naomi's scar. Good morning, my wife, Adam mumbled through a yawn when he woke around 10 a.m. Naomi looked down at him, from his stubble to the dry saliva on his cheek, and scrunched her nose as he raised his arms. Suddenly she became aware of this man's name, his status as her husband, a status that was finally solidified after 6 months of anticipation. She clenched her thighs. Hi, she said. You sleep well? It was okay. Good, babe, he said as he wrestled himself out of bed. Let me hop in the shower. We have to be there at 11 a.m., right? Yeah, Naomi said, sensing Adam's gaze on her tangled hair, her bare face, her scar. I mean, it's just down the street. She dropped her bathrobe and wiggled into her dress while Adam closed the bathroom door. Then she sat on the edge of the bed, wishing her body didn't ache. Naomi tried to shift her attention from parts of her body she was too embarrassed to name. Instead, she thought about her wedding reception. Had she been the only virgin there? Before Kim got married, she confessed to Naomi that she sometimes surveyed the room wondering the same thing. Kim said that sometimes the idea made her so anxious that she wanted to sleep with the next man who said hello to her. But she didn't. She said she would save herself for the occasion whose worth Naomi now questioned. Adam made a beeline from the bathroom to where Naomi sat and kissed her on the forehead. He wore nothing but a towel. When Naomi noticed the bulge of his penis under the terry cloth, she backed away and turned around. She burped up a bit of vomit. You should get dressed, she said after clearing her throat. I'll do my makeup in the car. Hey, are you okay? Naomi nodded. Yeah, why? You seem off this morning, said Adam as he approached her and then enveloped her in a hug. Was last night okay for you? His voice came out timid. Naomi laughed nervously. Come on, it was my first time. I know, babe. We'll keep going slow until you're ready. That was slow? Naomi thought as Adam kissed her forehead and drew away from her to get dressed. She watched her husband pull a wrinkled shirt from his suitcase to paw through one of the compartments for his cufflinks. I am not like the girls in magazines. The newlyweds parked and got out for brunch. The autumn sun bathed the entire courtyard in soft auburn light as the hostess sat the party at a table outside. Naomi took a deep breath to try and get her heart to stop beating so fast. She smelled lilies and white wine. After several minutes of indecision, everyone placed their orders. Adam got a platter of oysters for the group to share and kept squeezing Naomi's thigh under the table. The 5th or 6th time he did it, she stepped on his foot. "Shit!" he yelped. Naomi's mother gasped, and her father chuckled. Kim, with the flaxen hair and enviable profile, smiled weakly, while her hunched-over little husband continued peering into the distance with a slightly perturbed expression. Kim and Naomi's eyes met for a split second, but Naomi looked away. "Oh, you two," said Naomi's father as he patted his wife's hand. "I bet last night was incredible." "Well, believe me, it's only going to get better." He turned to Naomi's mother and gave her an adoring look. "Will it?" Naomi blurted. Her father chuckled uncomfortably, but didn't say anything. Adam finished slurping his oyster before saying, "She's kidding. We're getting along great in that department. She's just nervous about the honeymoon. But I'll be gentle, darling." He put his arm around Naomi and brought her closer. "Yes, I bet you'll have a lot of sightseeing to do in Greece," said Naomi's mother as her lips pulled back into a polite smile that nearly passed for a grimace. "Excuse me," Naomi said as she bolted up and threw her napkin on the table. She went straight to the bathroom, locked the door, sat on the toilet, and let out a big sigh. A fervent knocking at the door pushed Naomi out of her reverie. "It's occupied," she called. "Naomi, it's Kim." "Oh, hold on." Naomi got up to unlock the door and let her sister in. They shuffled toward the hand dryer and stood there in silence. Kim bit her lip and stared at her sister until she felt it was safe to touch Naomi's cheek. Naomi let her. "Sex is weird, right?" Kim laughed. "It's horrible," said Kim, but she wasn't laughing. "It hurt so much. It's like my vagina almost sealed itself shut because I felt so guilty. Yeah, it was the worst. Just remember the reasons why you waited." "You mean besides nobody wanting to date me? There were other men, Naomi." "Only duds. Was I supposed to fuck Carl Lawrence behind the tennis courts junior year like he was doing me some favor? That pothead was a loser." "No, and you didn't. You waited for someone like Adam. Think back to the reasons you waited." "I honestly can't even remember. I feel like some huge weirdo. I waited so long that even after I thought I didn't want to wait anymore, it was too late. It just got out of hand. I had to wait until marriage. Otherwise, what was the point?" "I get it." "No, you don't, Kim," said Naomi as she crossed her arms. "You got married when you were 22. I'm 30. 30 years old. I've had to deal with this burden so much longer than you did. Yeah, it's hard, but you got to know someone's heart and spirit little by little and really fall in love with him. Your marriage isn't about lust. It's about love and maybe I want lust to be a part of it. It's not bad to want good sex with your husband, is it?" "No. All I'm saying is that there's more to Adam than his body. There's more to you than your body. Your beauty will fade, but you'll always have your heart and spirit." "What beauty, Kim? I'm hideous." You are such a brainwashed cornball. I was brainwashed too, but at least I'm not a cornball. You don't get it. My vagina almost didn't let him in. I wasn't just tight, I was uptight. I hated it. And, Naomi, I didn't wait. Tony wasn't my first. What? So you lied? I wanted to set a good example. You deceived me. I'm sorry, but I knew your self-esteem was fragile. I didn't want you to sleep with somebody just to prove someone wanted you. Maybe I should have. No! You're just upset that last night wasn't like a Hollywood movie. Can you blame me? I think sex is disappointing for everybody at first, Naomi, because of what they show in all the magazines and movies, said Kim very gently. But trust me when I say it will get better. Kim rubbed Naomi's shoulder. Naomi brushed her hand away and said, So you, little Miss Perfect, did it at college like a normal human being. Naomi's sister reddened like a midsummer tomato. Yes, and I'm sorry I didn't tell you, she said. I won't ever keep anything that big from you again. Go to hell, Kim. Now, Naomi. Kim tried to go in for a hug, but Naomi dodged it and marched out of the bathroom. She didn't get very far before she literally ran into Adam. Hey, he said after recovering from their collision. You all right? Do you love me, Adam? Adam's face crumpled. More than anything. And do you think I'm beautiful? Yes, in body and soul. Then he gave Naomi the hug Kim had tried to give. Kim snuck past the embracing couple at the bar and returned to the party's table in the courtyard. When Adam and Naomi joined the group shortly thereafter, the two sisters acted as if neither one existed. The rest of brunch, everyone told stories about the wedding. Naomi barely listened. She seemed to float in and out of consciousness for the remainder of the day as she and Adam toured the last few sites in Richmond they hadn't seen before. She kept telling herself, he loves me and he thinks I'm beautiful, until it became a mantra. When they got to the chimpanzee exhibit at the Metro Richmond Zoo, Adam asked again if anything was wrong. 2 chimps were frolicking before the newlyweds. It was a Monday, so there were no crowds of human visitors to disturb their utopia. You just seem tense, said Adam as he gripped the railing in front of him. Hey, Adam, do you love my spirit? Naomi asked distractedly. That again? Yeah, of course. I love everything about you. I told you at the restaurant. I love your spirit, and I'm so lucky I met you. Please know that. Naomi turned to Adam and was at total loss for words until, out of the corner of her eye, she caught one of the chimps mounting the other. She wondered if the female chimp enjoyed it. I love your spirit too, she said, even more distractedly than before. Adam almost didn't see the chimps, but once he did, he hollered, Monkey business, and pounded his fist in the air. Naomi laughed, mostly at herself for being turned on by chimps. She couldn't look away until Adam took her by the hand. That sense of jealous longing didn't disappear when Naomi and Adam migrated to the panda exhibit, where the male panda and female panda slept on opposite ends of their artificial habitat. As a gust of wind went by, even the bamboo stalks moved more than the animals did. They look dead, said Adam. Maybe they're just sad. The male panda's ear twitched. He remained completely motionless otherwise. Look, he's awakening from his depression, said Adam. Yeah, but she's not. Maybe she needs to see a doctor. Maybe she does. Seriously, Naomi, what is up? Adam snapped. Don't get mad at me. No, I'm just confused. Where are you today? In my senior year of high school, when nobody asked me out to the prom. I'm here with you, Adam, but it's a lot to adjust to. I thought you wanted to marry me. I did. I do. I want to be married to you, but what? I want amazing sex. I want to relish every second of sex with you. I didn't wait this long to have mediocre sex. Adam grinned. And we'll have amazing sex. How? Adam took Naomi into his arms and whispered in her ear, Believe me when I say I love you and that you're beautiful, because I do and you are. Naomi melted into Adam's chest. As she separated from him, she noticed that the female panda had gotten up and lumbered closer to the male panda. When the newlyweds stopped by a corner store for hot dogs and sodas, Naomi glanced at the cover of Marie Claire in the checkout line. In bright pink letters read the words, How to be the best sex he ever had. She snatched the magazine and immediately flipped to the cover story. The only tips she read were, Be firm and ask for what you want. Before she felt Adam hovering over her, she shoved the magazine back into the rack and faced her husband. Do you want ketchup on your hot dog? He asked. What? Do you want ketchup on your hot dog? He repeated. Why didn't you ask me if I wanted mustard? What? Why did you just assume I wanted ketchup? Because I know you like ketchup. Maybe I like mustard too, okay? Okay. So should I put ketchup and mustard on your hot dog? No, Naomi barked. Just ketchup. But, ask next time. Adam put his hands up. Is that really too much to ask, Adam? No, not at all. Naomi clenched her fists and dropped her soda bottle. It rolled across the floor to her husband's sneaker. Adam bent over to pick it up and gave Naomi the bottle. Grab 4 bottles of Boone's Farm, she said as she placed the bottle in her basket. Then they returned to the car and Naomi cranked Garbage's Only Happy When It Rains all the way up. We should talk, Adam shouted over the grungy song. He quickly swerved to avoid hitting a double-parked car on another narrow street in the fan. When he recovered, he shot Naomi a pleading look. After the movie, she said, and twisted the cap off the bottle of strawberry-flavored Boone's. Naomi chugged most of the bottle, while Adam circled around the block twice. They had chosen an anniversary showing of Titanic for the evening. The venue, built in 1929, was a historic cinema that specialized in second runs and classics. The plush, red velvet curtains, gilded balconies, and the organ at the front of the house were all holdovers from a bygone era that Naomi normally found enchanting. Tonight, tradition irked her. This place smells like mildew, she slurred as she and Adam took their seats. The previews were already running. Well, it's old and nonprofit, said Adam. He bent over and whispered, I brought the other 3 bottles of Boone's with me. Perfect. Give me one. Okay, but keep it hidden, he said as he passed one of the brown paper bags to her. Wait until it gets dark. Don't tell me what to do, Adam. Sorry. I just don't want us to get caught. We'll be fine. I can be a rebel too, you know. Then the movie started. Naomi's attention wavered until Jack and Rose's sex scene captivated her. That's what I want, she thought, as Rose's hand slipped down the window when the scene ended. Adam squeezed Naomi's hand. They turned to each other and Adam mouthed, I love you. Naomi giggled and took another swig of Boone's Farm. In their drunken state, Naomi and Adam decided to have ice cream for dinner, which is how they ended up eating sundaes in the car overlooking the river. Despite a pleasant breeze and a million stars overpowering the sky, they were alone in the parking lot, silent. The songs of crickets, frogs, and cicadas melodized with the river's full, rushing harmony. I'm so happy I married you, Naomi, Adam said, interrupting the overbearing silence. And I'm also happy I waited for you. You know, it was hard, but you are worth it. You'll always be worth it. Naomi grabbed Adam's face and gave him a wet kiss. Let's go over to the water, she said, and lunged out of the car. Adam followed. They laced hands and crept down a long, winding trail to the river. Small branches whacked them, and vines threatened to ensnare them, but they pushed on. They stumbled over rocks and nearly tripped over a log barely visible in the moonlight. Gradually, the river's roar grew louder and louder. After rounding one last bend, they reached the riverbank and sat on a pile of large, flat rocks, and they listened to the river until Naomi became antsy. She grazed Adam's neck with her lips and pounced on him. Hey, he whispered. Hey! Naomi kissed Adam on the lips, nose, and forehead, and then crouched down to undo his belt buckle. She yanked off his jeans and pulled up her skirt. Adam grabbed her to go down on her. It wasn't the first time he had tried, but it was the first time she had yielded. She writhed on the rock, thinking not of shame, but of the moment. When Naomi came, she cried, Jesus, so overcome with the release that she tumbled into the river. Adam slammed into another rock as he dove to grab her. He groaned as he fell into the water not far from where Naomi landed, woozy but unharmed. She was holding on to a low-hanging tree branch where the current wasn't strong enough to pull them both to their untimely ending. Are you okay? Naomi called. Yeah. He slurred and doggy-paddled to her side. He seized her and kissed all over her face and neck. Naomi's scar didn't tingle any more than the rest of her body, which was overcome with the most pleasant prickling. They began making love underwater, and this time, Naomi experienced pleasure. It's not what I wanted to do. It's not what I meant to say. Oh, how I'm feeling this way. When you look on over here,